Ho ho ho! What's up, everybody? It's Adam here. I can't see the guy. Back to you with another review. As you all know, I'm trying to do Christmas reviews as often as I can. You know, Christmas coming right around the corner, and I just want to use this time to, when I get free time, to do Christmas movie reviews, rants, or whatever, but mainly reviews because people know how I feel about rants and all that kind of stuff. Well, I want to review a Christmas movie now, which I personally love. It came out in the year of 1996. And it is known as Jingle All the Way, starring Arnold Schwarzenegger. Now, growing up as a kid, Arnold Schwarzenegger was one of my heroes. I mean, obviously, I love him in Terminator, Predator, Kindergarten Cop, and all those other movies. My favourite movie starring Arnold Schwarzenegger is the action movie The Running Man. That's my favourite Arnold appearance. And I mainly remember him as being in the action movies. I mean, he has done his fair share of comedies as well, you know, like Junior and Kindergarten Cop and this movie, Jingle All the Way, where he's done like comedy roles. And sometimes it's strange to see Arnold Schwarzenegger in such roles because I was used to him like seeing him in action movies, you know, adult action movies growing up as a kid. But I think this was one of the first films I saw him in as in comedy, and I was overwhelmed, you know. The film also stars Sinbad. I'm not very familiar with Sinbad's roles. I know he did the voice of the dog Riley in Homeward Bound 2, Lost in San Francisco. You know, he was also in Good Burger, and he was also in The Coneheads. I liked him in that. But they both work together in this movie as desperate fathers who are trying to become the best fathers in the world by trying to get this hot-selling Christmas toy. You know, it's a bestseller ever, and they spend their Christmas Eve trying to hunt down and get this toy before anybody, because there's not many on sale anymore, the Turbo Man doll. Now, what's great about this movie is it's one of those movies that I think never goes out of style. Like I said, this movie came out in the year of 1996, and even if I watch it today, I could still have fun with it. You know, some people have got their problems with it, saying that they enjoyed it a lot more back in the day, and when they look back on it now, it's more of like a childish comedy. And yeah, there's some childish aspects, but that's not my reason for, you know, liking the movie. I mean, at the end of the day, this film still makes me laugh. Because, I mean, when he introduced Arnold Schwarzenegger at the start by this guy by the name of Howard. You know, he's married, he's got a son called Jamie. You know, and he's a very hard-working individual. He loves his family, but he's more or less somebody who's unreliable. Like I say, he misses his son's special occasions. You know, he always makes promises he can't keep. You know, he wants to be a good father and he's willing to do anything for his family, but he just works too hard, and his son feels a bit neglected because he feels like he's not appreciated by his father because he doesn't show up to any of his special events. The wife, also Liz, also feels that he's a very unreliable person. They understand he works hard to try and provide for the family, but at the same time they feel like he could work a little bit harder at being trusted. I mean, it's building up to Christmas, you know, and Arnold Schwarzenegger is overworking, and his son's karate class is coming up. You know, he promises to be there, but again, that's one of the false promises because he leaves for work late, ends up getting caught in traffic, and tries to take a shortcut by speeding up the highway, but gets pulled over by a cop. And during this time, we get introduced to some new characters. You know, in the karate class, we get introduced to Phil Hartman, who is no longer with us. He plays Ted, you know, Arnold Schwarzenegger's annoying neighbour, you know, Ted. And that's a shame because Phil Hartman, I think he's a great actor. He did a great job in this particular movie. He's no longer with us, I'm afraid. He was murdered, I believe, back in 1998 by his wife in real life, and you know, that's very tragic. You know, because Phil Hartman is, in my opinion, a great comedian. I liked him in Small Soldiers, and I liked him in The Coneheads, and I liked him in this movie. You know, he also did some work on The Simpsons as well, from what I believe. But anyway, he plays a guy by the name of Ted, who's an annoying neighbour, but he's considered by all the other neighbours as a godsend because he's very useful with his hands. You know, he can fix things, you know, he can literally do anything. And he's considered a godsend to all the rest of the neighbours. And he's got a crush on Arnold Schwarzenegger's wife, Liz. You know, and they attend the karate class. Howard turns up late, so now he's got to face the consequences for when he gets home. Of course, when he gets home, he finds out that his son's disappointed, you know, and he storms up to his room. Howard goes to see him, and he tries to explain his actions for, not attending the karate class. But his son reminds him that he's very unreliable and that he doesn't keep his promises, and he's sick of, being fed false promises. So Howard is determined to improve. He's determined to do the one thing for him that he wants more than anything, and that's to give him the one thing he wants for Christmas, which is a Turbo Man doll. He makes false promises saying he's going to get him the doll. He's going to be a good father from now on. He forgets. I mean, his wife reminds him that he was supposed to pick up a Turbo Man doll weeks prior to that, and he even forgot to do that. So that's why early on Christmas Eve, he gets up early to go and search for this Turbo Man doll. In the meantime, Ted's like trying to hit on Howard's wife. He says he's got a Turbo Man for his son, weeks ago. And basically, the movie from there on there is just Howard just trying to go on a big mission, trying to get this #1 top-selling toy called the Turbo Man. I mean, while he's waiting outside the toy store to open, we get introduced to Sinbad's character, who plays a postman by the name of Myron. Hilarious character. He's crazy, he's lost it because he works as a postman, working hard shifts just like Howard. He's losing his mind because he wants to be a #1 father as well. Just like Howard, he can't be trusted with his promises, and he's determined to be the best father on Christmas by giving his son the #1 best-selling toy. I mean, the movie's hilarious. I mean, it's just like one big mission to get this action figure, that all the kids are obsessed with. They're flying off the shelves, there's no more available. It's just one big comedy ride from start to finish about trying to track down this Turbo Man doll, get the action figure in time for Christmas. So, because all the kids were consider the father's, heroes if they get this one toy they want, and it's the #1 bestseller. So that's what it's all about. I mean, we get hilarious moments where people are trampling over each other to try and get the doll first, and like I just said, we get scenes where people are trampling over each other. We get another good scene in this mall, where people are fighting over these little balls, these little toy balls that have got numbers on them, so they can get the opportunity to get a Turbo Man doll. It's just one big comedy ride, and it's just really hilarious. Like I said at the start of this movie review, I could watch it time and time again and never get bored of it. I mean, I've seen the movie that many times I could act in it myself, But it's one of those Christmas movies I can't get tired of. It's fun. It's fun for the whole family. It's a family comedy. And I can't understand why people would dislike a film like this. They don't make Christmas movies like this anymore, I'm afraid. I mean, you can tell all the actors had fun with their roles. Arnold Schwarzenegger and Sinbad had fun working together and all that kind of stuff. I thought it was a good idea. I mean, we get the mall Santa played by James Belushi. I like James Belushi. He starred in K9. He plays Santa Claus, where he takes Howard to that warehouse where all them workers are all con artists and thieves, and trying to rip people off their money, because he tries to get Howard to believe that he's selling a Turbo Man doll where it was faulty and he was speaking a different language. So there was a fight scene. Even getting an appearance by the Big Show from WWE. Paul White, who plays the giant Santa Claus, and we also get Vern Troyer playing a mini Santa Claus. Vern Troyer, who played Mini-Me in Austin Powers, he's in this movie. And there was a good comedy scene, where he gets punched by the Big Show and he goes flying across the room. So some really great, hilarious scenes. And we get that throughout the whole movie. I mean, there's a scene where Howard's in this cafe with Sinbad, Myron, and they have a conversation about how they once wanted this particular toy for this one Christmas, and now that they're repeating the whole thing themselves, now that they're fathers with their kids, you know what I mean? I love the scene in the office, the radio station office, where they had to guess all the names of Santa's reindeer in order to win the toy. And when they go to the station, it ends up being a gift certificate, to get the toy. It's just hilarious how the characters, the depths they went to try and get their hands on this one toy. And, you know, one big good fun comedy ride. I mean, we've got a bomb involved, where Sinbad uses a fucking bomb to try and get away from all the cops. There's a scene where Howard heads back to his house and he tries to get revenge on his neighbour Ted by breaking into the house where he gets attacked by Rudolph, a reindeer, trying to steal the Turbo Man toy from underneath the Christmas tree and all that kind of shit. I mean, another promise he's been keeping all along is that he promises to attend a Christmas parade, where Turbo Man will be making an appearance at this Christmas parade, with his son. And again, that's another promise he tries to keep, to try and attend the parade with his son. I mean, he does attempt to try and do that, but when he's trying to get away from that cop who pulled him over and encountered him throughout the whole movie, he hides in the wardrobe section, and he ends up being the Turbo Man, on the parade. And even in the ending's brilliant, with the whole thing taking place in the parade, where Howard's dressed as the Turbo Man, and when he's about to give the Turbo Man doll away to a kid, Byron, he's dressed as the mentor, Turbo Man's hot march enemy, and they have this one big fight towards the end. So it was something like out the cartoons coming out into real life in the parade, and and it was really hilarious. We get scenes where Morris falling off buildings, and he's going to whatever depths it takes us to get his hands on this doll. But I like the ending of this movie because, even though Howard went to all them, those depths to try and get his hands on the toy, his son Jamie appreciates everything that he'd done for him, and in the end he gives the doll away to Myron, and says that, his love all along has been his father, and he wants him no matter what selling Christmas toys and all that kind of thing. So that was a nice touch. And that was basically the end of the movie. I mean, I even like the little extra they put at the end of the credits. Please check that out, because some people leave that out. Wait till the credits end, and there's a scene on Christmas morning where they're celebrating Christmas, and the end of the movie just right, because Liz says to Howard, "What did you get me?" And Arnold Schwarzenegger makes that terrified face, like he forgot to get his wife a Christmas present, So overall, I loved it. It's got to be one of my favourite Christmas movies. I mean, yeah, I love the Home Alones, the Grinch, and all that. And I'd say Home Alone have to be my favourite, but Jingle All the Way is pretty much near there on the good comedy level, because that's what you need around Christmas time. You need a good comedy, family-friendly movie that the whole audience will enjoy. And I really recommend Jingle All the Way. If you haven't seen this, please check it out. It's a great comedy. Again, I don't know how people can say they get tired of this after so much time. I mean, I even used to watch this movie all year round, even if it wasn't at Christmas. But it's a good selection to watch on Christmas. Even today, in 2020, and like I said, this movie was made in 1996. It's still a must-see, a great hit. Great soundtrack, great Christmas soundtracks. Of all the good songs of Christmas. Okay, in terms of the soundtracks, we've got Jingle Bells, The Sleigh Ride, Most Wonderful Time of the Year, Jingle Bells Rock. Mostly songs by David Newman and other people like that. So it's got everything. It's got the music, it's got the laughs. What more could you want? And one thing I can't fucking believe, they made a sequel to this. WWE Studios. So that gives you enough reasons as to why I don't want to review the sequel. Because WWE makes shit movies. I mean, they made one or two okay movies, but majority of them are shit. WWE Studios are shit. And I'm a WWE fan, but I'm just being honest, they have made some shit movies. And they made a sequel, Jingle All the Way 2, 18 years after this movie. Not interested, sorry. But again, highly recommended. If you've not seen this movie, please check it out. Great fun comedy ride. That's all I've got to say about this review. So please check it out. Please like, rate, and comment. Email if you've got any questions. Thanks for watching this, everyone. Thanks for checking it out. Peace.